Hey guys, welcome to great and very beautiful San Antonio, Texas. My name is Joel Tarian and welcome to Easy Video Producer. What I really want to do with you today is talk to you a little bit more about not only building a list and how to build a list, but more importantly, what makes your list something that could end up being very, very profitable for you. We all know that we have to offer something of extremely high perceived value to build your contact list, but then what? What can you do to get two critical components out of that list to get them to buy from you? You know, a lot of people, especially new internet marketers and people who are just getting online, think that ultimately if they put up a website and they have a credit card form on there, people are going to buy your products and services. And the unfortunate truth is nothing could be further from the truth from that. And it's because of two critical components that ultimately make your business very successful. And that is, you got to create desire and you got to create trust. I'm sure a lot of people out there have bought leads lists with very dismal results. You buy 2 million emails out there on the internet only to find that the conversions are less than 0.0001%. You end up with a spam complaint or two and your web host shuts you down, and all this desire to make an insane amount of money online has really just fallen to some sort of empty promise out there. Now, ultimately, you filled out the form on the easyvideoproducer.com website because you recognize two things: the value in building a list and how popular video is getting online. Now, what I promise you when we launch Easy Video Producer to the public next week is that it will do indeed that. It will build you a massive contact list of prospective buyers, and it is using the most viral component online. 52% of all traffic today comes from video on the internet. So what we're doing is we're combining two extremely popular methods of building a list, using viral marketing and using video. And most importantly, you don't need to have any technical knowledge. So what we're going to do is take you over to our corporate office to show you a little bit more about how to build a list, and more importantly, how to create trust and desire. In today's video, what we're going to teach you is how to build a lead capture system that creates a real, highly perceived, irresistible offer just to get a name and email address. In today's marketplace, having people just sign up to your newsletter is not good enough. So what we're going to do here at our office is I'm actually going to whiteboard for you exactly how to create a lead capture system that ultimately leads to the call to action that you want, which is to get somebody to fill out their name and email address in exchange for something of perceived high value. So come on into the office and we'll show you exactly how to do that. So what I want to do is take you to our whiteboard to show you exactly the fundamentals of web design to get the necessary and proper call to action, which is, again, to get people to give you a name and email address in exchange for a product that they get for free. So come on back to our whiteboard and we'll go through all the different fundamentals that are very, very important, from your header to the colors of your website to every aspect to guarantee you success online. So guys, I know how silly this sounds, but the first thing I want to do is I want you to get out of your brain here something that's very important. And it's this: a credit card, MasterCard. And it sounds silly, I know, but you want to simply get rid of that, because it is the worst thing you can think about when trying to build your business online. There's no way without multi-million-dollar brand recognition. Well, there is a way. We're going to show it to you today. But without the multi-million-dollar brand recognition, will anybody buy anything from you? You know, it works with Amazon.com. Why? Everybody knows the name. It works with Best Buy, and it works a lot of large e-commerce sites, but it doesn't work now because people don't know who you are. And the only thing that people are marginally willing to give to you is a name and an email address. Okay? So what I want to do in today's video is show you how to effectively collect leads off your website, and then in tomorrow's video, what we're going to do is show you how to generate two things, which is brand recognition. What is brand recognition? It's desire and it's trust, right? I go to buy something at Best Buy. Why? Because I recognize the name and I trust that if there's something wrong with the product or service, that I can give it back to them. But that's, you know, millions and millions of dollars and possibly billions of dollars in ad expenditures that they did to get that. The good news is, through proper internet marketing and taking your clients through a process, we can show you how to do the same thing on a zero budget. So what the purpose of this video is, hey, great, I recognize that first and foremost, okay, let's draw our web page out here. So this is my web page. The first thing you don't want to do is you certainly don't want to have the $sign on your website, okay? You don't want to have pricing on the index page of your website. Now, some of you might be saying, well, hold on, I've seen some pretty massive internet marketing launches, and on the bottom is a purchase price. You have to look at how that prospect got there. A lot of the large internet marketing launches are done through large JV networks, large affiliate networks of people who have a large list. So if I ask one of my JV partners to send an email for me, they're sending that email endorsing me with the highest conviction. So that trust factor is instantly generated through the person who mailed for me, because they already have that know, like, and trust factor with their own list. So if I had a large JV partner email about our products and services, that this trust factor is immediately broken, and there is an element of trust. Why? Because it's through a JV partner. But when you want to generate your own legitimate leads without JV partners, now don't get me wrong, JV partners is a good way to do it, but there's a difference. Do not put pricing on the index page of your website, okay? Why? You look like the snake oil salesman. You look like an individual who is trying to sell something, and therefore the information that they're trying to pull from that website is extremely biased, okay? That is not going to generate you a lead. And in fact, in order to generate a lead, you want to guide that prospect on your website to one thing and one thing only: giving you a name and an email address. Now the question becomes, how do you do that? Well, there's some fundamentals of web design that I'm going to show you here on the whiteboard that will help guide your prospect in the right direction, which is ultimately leave them or leave you their contact information so you can follow up with them at a later basis. Now, once you have the lead, will be part of the second video that we'll shoot tomorrow of how to ultimately take that lead and generate an income off of those individuals. So first thing, like I said, is you certainly do not want to put pricing on your index page, okay? The second thing, very, very important, is one common theme. And the reason you want to use one common theme is if you're looking at true organic traffic through keywords on Google, let's pick a market niche. Let's look for somebody who's wanting to buy a video camera. Since we're filming this, I go to Google and I type in the keywords handycam, okay? And I find your website. Well, I need one common theme, which is great information on how to pick and choose a really great webcam for the value and price, okay? So that's what you want to do, is stick to one common theme. There's so many people who have banners on one side of their website down here, and they've got different, what are they? Different calls to action. One might be a blog widget, something might be something else. And all this is good once you've built your list. So a lot of you who've been to blogs of some of the top internet marketers who have banners on their website, guess what? They're on their, you're already on their list. The rules are a little different. This video is how to build a list through one common theme on a website, okay? And the reason you want one common theme is because if that person does not leave you their name and email address, the chances of them ever coming back to your website is basically zero. Now, I know that's really harsh to hear and it's harsh to say, but it's absolutely true. You want to guide the traffic to different calls to actions on your website, and the only way you can do that is by ultimately building a list first. So you want one common theme, okay? Once you've got no pricing, so let's just put this out here. Common Now I realize that I'm probably the worst writer in the world. One common theme and absolutely no pricing on your index page. Now the next thing that's very important in guiding a person to leave their name and email address is your header, okay? A lot of people use a lot of different resolution sizes, okay? And also the width of your website is important. You see a lot of websites out there that will actually auto resize based on the browser size. That is a mistake, because the ad copy on your website is part of the common theme that's going to ultimately guide people to leaving your name and email address. But the first point I want to make is your header, which will probably have your company logo in here. Company logo in here. It might have a tagline over here. Now your logo and your tagline should be congruent with your theme. They should be the same. It's very, very important. What I have seen is these god-awful large headers on a website, and what happens? Almost immediately the individual has to start scrolling. Big mistake, okay? Why? Because you want a thin header so that the one common theme that comes out in your tagline, okay, or in your headline is very, very important. Why am I at this website? Just like in a newspaper, when you buy your newspaper, there's a big headliner. You want to have a very large and more than likely red headliner. Why? Because you've got approximately 6 to 8 seconds to attract somebody's attention to read the rest of your website. And if you don't have a headliner that is the main reason why they're on your website, then you're doomed for failure. So let's come back to our webcam example. I go to Google and I'm typing the keywords of looking for a great webcam. My headliner would be something to the effect of, do you want to know all the common mistakes when purchasing your webcam? So, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? So my headliner would be here. They've now got my attention in that initial 8 seconds. It is based on that headliner of whether people will stay on your website or leave. The other way of doing it is called the lead-in. Now this is becoming very popular online and is very popular with the news stations. Now the difference is you'll have your headliner still, but then what you will have in today's society and in today's internet world is a big video, okay? Now some of you may not be able to use video, but we'll show you how in our next coming videos how to put video on your website very, very easily. But in today's marketplace, video sells 3 times more, or converts 3 times higher than ad copy alone. And it has to be centered around trust and desire, okay? So I'm going to just get rid of this for now because we're talking about without video. Is you've got your headliner, and then of course in the body, you've got your ad copy. Okay, now, when I talked about auto resizing, when you have a website that auto resizes, it's horrible for your ad copy. Why? Because based on the resolution that the person is using, maybe their computer is 800 pixels, 1020 pixels, 1400 pixels, it really is going to mess up the ad copy and what you want people to ultimately focus on. Okay, so if I have a website that resizes, what it looks like in 800 pixels versus what it looks like in 1020 pixels is going to be very different. And then your call to action will be convoluted or kind of diluted, and ultimately you may not have that person leave a name and email address, okay? So, my strong recommendation is to have a website that does not resize, that is probably the main width here. Now some people will argue with me, but it seems the lowest resolution that people are using right now is about 1020. Yes, less than 1% of the population is still using 800 pixel. Now the reality is the person who's still using the 800 pixel resolution computer is probably so old that they probably don't use the internet very much, and they could still be up on a dial-up modem. That's probably not going to be your prospect in today's society. So my recommendation is, and if you go to some of the big internet marketing websites and stuff, is have the width of 1020 pixels. But more important The ad copy within the borders of your website shouldn't be absolutely more than 800 pixels wide, okay? Very, very important. Now, why is that? If you've ever looked at a newspaper, newspapers are purposely done in columns, okay? Very thin columns that look ultimately like this, right? Let me take this out and just actually pretend this is a newspaper just for a second here, okay? Newspapers, you have one column here with your, the writing, and then you have another column, then you have a third column. Now, the reason newspapers do it that way is, could you imagine if you take the reversal and newspapers read this way with columns that were extremely wide, the whole length of the newspaper? Nobody would ever read the news. You want to know why? Is because of our peripheral vision, okay? The minute that the second line comes out of our peripheral vision, it is harder to come back to the next line and continue your reading. If it's difficult to read your ad copy, then the chances of people taking the ultimate call to action that you want them to take is going to be very, very minimal, okay? So that's why, if I'm coming back to this is my web page, 800 pixels. If somebody has to scroll past their peripheral vision to get to your second line, it's probably not very good. And test it yourself. When you're reading your ad copy, if you have to move your head in this fashion, okay, I'm exaggerating it now, but if there's any movement this way, then your ad copy is too wide, okay? And you're gonna lose prospects, guaranteed. Now, the reason why papers do it in small columns is because the length that they have is limited. The nice thing about a web page is you can use the scroll button on the side to continue to scroll down constantly. Very, very important, okay? So the other thing you want to have, so you have your headliner here, you have your start of your ad copy here. Now this goes against conventional English terms, but you probably don't want to go more than 4 lines in your 800 pixel ad copy before having a mini headliner or a new line. Why? Same aspect, what is visually pleasing and easy to read with the human eye, okay? If you have too many lines, like this, just so many, even though your width is correct, you're gonna lose people based on what line there are this way because there's too much of the same pattern. By changing the pattern, and it's probably starting to make sense to you now, why a lot of these top internet marketers have about 4 or 5 lines, then a mini headline, then 4 or 5 lines, then a mini headline. It makes it easier to read that website. It has to, the number one rule in generating an income online is you got to make it easy for people to extract the information that they want to find out, or you're going to lose your sale, okay? Really, really, really important. Now, where society has changed, where a lot of long ad copy used to work, is they used to say, 10 years ago, don't put videos on your website because everybody's on a dial-up connection and it's going to take too long to download the video and you're going to lose your prospect. In today's marketplace, a high percentage of your prospects are going to be on high-speed internet, and therefore, what would take them a half hour to read could maybe be conveyed just like now imagine this, I'm doing a video for you right now, you're watching a video, you're watching an online video that is at your convenience, it's on demand. If you want to pause this video, you can go grab a coffee, a beer, whatever you want to do, you can come back and watch the rest of the video, okay? You don't have to wait an hour for this video to download anymore with streaming video live online, okay? With video, you can generate a better call to action. Why? Just like you are just getting to know me now, this is more on a subconscious level, folks. Video converts. Why? You see who we are, just like your prospects will see who you are, and that time factor, people are lazy. Look at the television. If the television was just nothing but a bunch of text, the television would have never revolutionized society. Internet TV or internet video is now 52% of all internet traffic. So, coming back then, because I know we still have to give you a choice. There's a lot of people who still just use ad copy. There's some people that use video, okay? You've got your headliner, what we talked about. You got your ad copy. Now, ultimately, your call to action should be for a name and an email address. A lot of people, you'll see a little box here on the top, and it's got, you know, right here, subscribe to my newsletter. Forget it, folks. Every website out there, there's no WeFM, right? What's in it for me? Everybody is part of the WeFM radio. What's in it for me? To get part of your newsletter, that's not enough of a reason for your prospect to want to leave their contact information, okay? And the other reason that video converts better now too is ultimately I want your name and email address, but I could be a spammer. I could be, you know, somebody that's not trustworthy. I could be a guy that's working in my basement. I could be a guy that's hiding behind the scenes who doesn't, you know, ultimately is going to take your name and email address and spam the crap out of you, really. I don't know how better else to put it, but spam you so horribly that they, you know, that prospect won't leave you a name and email address. However, if you don't have video, that's okay. Your ad copy should be enough, but not too much, for one call to action, to leave a name and email address, okay? So, and same thing with your video, okay, is enough of a call to action to leave a name and email address, and that's it, okay? You want to give them enough information for them to say this: hey, this individual really knows what they're talking about. They seem to be an authority in what I'm looking for, the information I'm looking for, and that is just a little bit of enough trust, okay? And now imagine ever going to a credit card. We'll talk about that in the future. That's just about enough trust to leave a name and email address. And ultimately, that's what you want. Your call to action should be for a name and an email address only. And that is why I cut up that credit card on the start. Your goal of the index page of your website should never, ever be to sell a product or service, unless, like I said, it's through a massive JV launch where somebody else highly recommends you and they already have the trust of their newsletter or subscriber base, okay? But when you want to, this video is about you generating leads and how to generate leads ultimately. So hopefully this first video gives you some good fundamentals on how to create a web page to generate leads. In our next video, what we're going to do is talk to you about, okay, you've got a lead, you've got a name and an email address, is how do you generate desire and trust to ultimately sell more things, sell a lot of your products or services. So we'll see you tomorrow on that video, and I hope this was helpful for you today. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.